Hello all, I want to talk about the book of Acts today, and obviously it has a relationship to Paul. They are attested as being written by the same person, so you often hear about Luke Acts. And its overwhelmingly positive attitude towards Romans, probably more so than the other synoptics, just to show again this strange, these instances here of getting alongness, basically, in the New Testament canon and the Gospel canon, and with the Roman authorities. Paul is often helped, treated fairly and justly, and so on, by the Romans. And he's even talked about his letters. He even says he's talking from the household of the Caesar. Funny enough. So we're going to go through that very quickly and show how this fits with the overarching thesis here that we're putting forward of the Gospels at least being Rome friendly. So the book of Acts has an overall positive attitude towards the Romans, especially the Roman officials, soldiers, and legal institutions. Throughout the narrative, Romans are portrayed as fair, just, curious, respectful, and of law and order, and often as protectors of Paul and the Christian movement, in stark contrast to the hostile Jewish authorities or mobs who are frequently shown as instigators of violence or false accusations. And we obviously see this in the Gospels as well. Below is a comprehensive list of pro-Roman sentiment and examples here in Acts. Overall themes of pro-Roman sentiment. Roman laws protect Christians. 1. Roman officials often find no guilt in Paul or the apostles. 3. Roman centurions and soldiers act justly and even respectfully. 4. Paul uses his Roman citizenship to secure rights and safety. 5. Roman governors and commanders are portrayed as rational and lawful. And 6 here, Christianity is repeatedly distinguished from political rebellion. Specific pro-Roman examples in Acts. So we have Claudius Lysias, Acts 21 to 23, Roman tribune who saves Paul multiple times from Jewish mobs, gives Paul a chance to speak in his own defense, sends Paul to Caesarea with 470 soldiers for protection. And who is this Paul? Who is he to the Romans? Who would he have been historically to the Romans? Just another apocalyptic preacher. Why is he given this amount of protection here at tremendous cost, I might add? In his letter to Governor Felix, it says, I found that he was accused about questions of their law, but charged with nothing deserving death or imprisonment. That's Acts 23:29. 2. Governor Felix in Acts 24 holds Paul in protective custody, gives him frequent audiences, and does not condemn him. While morally ambiguous, this time hoping for a bribe, he does not hand Paul over to be killed. 3. Governor Festus, Acts 25 and 26, immediately refuses to extradite Paul to Jerusalem, which would have led to his assassination. Conducts a fair hearing under Roman law, allows Paul to appeal to Caesar, affirming his rights as a Roman citizen. Says to Agrippa, I found that he had done nothing deserving death. Acts 25:25. 4. Agrippa, King Agrippa II here in Acts 26. Agrippa hears Paul's case and agrees. This man could have been set free if he had not appealed to Caesar. Acts 26 to 32. Though technically a Jewish king, Agrippa is part of the client-king system under Rome and speaks in defense of Paul's innocence. 5. Julius the centurion in Acts 27 treats Paul with kindness on the way to Rome, prevents his execution during a shipwreck, follows Paul's advice during the voyage. Sorry. Yeah, this is an interesting one. So this is in the shipwreck here, he's with a bunch of other prisoners, and some of the Roman soldiers just want to kill everyone to escape, to prevent them from being escaped. But this centurion here, Julius, says, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to look after them, and Paul becomes a kind of hero figure in this escapade here, in this event. Okay, so 6. Philippian magistrates and jailer, Act 16, initially imprison Paul and Silas without trial. After learning they are Roman citizens, they are afraid and apologize, fearing consequences for violating Roman law. So there's this big emphasis on the goodness and the uprightness of Roman legal rights. The jailer himself becomes a Christian, tending the wounds and feeding them. Sergius Paulus, Acts 13, 7-12, proconsul of Cyprus, a Roman official, invites Paul and Barnabas to speak and believes their message, becoming one of the first elite Roman converts. It's all mythology, of course. It's all just good Christian storytelling. But you get the drift here. Cornelius the centurion in Acts 10, a Roman officer described as devout and God-fearing, generous and prayerful. Okay, so first fully Gentile convert to receive the Holy Spirit. So many of the first converts to Christianity are Roman. And this is in the Gospels as well as Acts. They make it very clear the first good, true, honest, upright Christians to be converted come from Rome. Are Roman. Anyway, Peter's vision of his conversion signal that Roman Gentiles are fully welcomed in the Christian movement, right? The Roman legal structure in general is portrayed as upright, good, and honest. Roman courts repeatedly exonerate Paul or see no legal case against him. The right of appeal to Caesar is affirmed and honoured. Roman citizenship is respected and protects Paul in multiple places. Acts 16, 37, 39, Acts 22, 25 to 29. The summary table then. I've been through it really, but Roman figures and their positive roles here in the story generally: Claudius, Silas, Felix, Festus, Agrippa II, Julius. Affirm Christianity, affirm the goodness of Paul. Philippian magistrates, Philippian jailer, Sergius Paulus. The conclusion then is this: the book of Acts consistently portrays Romans, especially those in power, as protectors of justice, not enemies. The real hostility comes from some Jewish leaders, not Rome. Luke is likely emphasizing Christianity's compatibility with Roman law and order, perhaps as a defense against charges of sedition during the time of Roman suspicion towards new religious movements. So there we go. And also I think if you take the stance that I do, it's because the Acts was basically written under Roman eyes and under the heavy influence of the Roman Empire in order to create this new religion here, coming from Judea and Galilee, and now entering into the Roman world as a Hellenized Jewish faith, but it's completely compatible with the Roman system, that upholds the Roman system. I don't know whether I've gone through the many examples of the second century Christians and beyond being very actually saying a lot of things that are pro-Roman. I might go into that in the next video. I'm certainly going to cover it because many, or if not most, of the early church fathers, Irenaeus, Tertullian, Origen, and so on, are not scathing of Rome at all, but speak in glowing terms of the Roman system, and you might want to argue that this is because they already get about their heads getting lopped off if they speak ill of Rome. But these are Christians who are supposed to be affirming the faith anyway. What we find, though, in the core Christian text is positive attitudes towards Rome. This cannot be denied. It is not the messianic, rebellious, warlike, Davidic movement we see in the Sicarii and the Zealots and stuff like that we see in the first century, really, that are talked about in this period. Anyway, yeah, it's all rather interesting. So I'll see you soon.